Greetings, my students. I see you have returned to the archives. Welcome back. I have been expecting you. Today, we are going to be delving into a whole host and plethora of characters that I believe have a high likelihood to appear in The Bad Batch Season 2, which premiered just a week ago on Disney+, one of the most popular streaming services in the entire world. The Bad Batch includes jaw-dropping animations by Dave Filoni, being entirely written by Dave Filoni. The Bad Batch is one of the most popular animated shows trending on Star Wars, behind that of just the Clone Wars and Tales of the Jedi. The Bad Batch truly is something special, exploring the plot between 4 clone brothers and now one girl with Omega, and as they escape the Empire, getting work and just managing to stay alive. On the other end of the spectrum, we manage to see characters like Crosshair and even one of the greatest clone commandos of all time in Commander Cody. But today we are going to be exploring a whole host of characters that I believe have a high likelihood to appear in The Bad Batch Season 2 as it continues. So my students, prepare for another lecture, grab a snack, adorn yourself in your Jedi robes as we take a trip back through history to explore every single character I believe will appear in The Bad Batch Season 2. One rule I want to note just before we begin, we will not be counting the obvious such as Crosshair, Commander Cody, Emperor Palpatine, and Gungi, as these characters have all been confirmed due to their exposure in the Bad Batch initial trailer, and will only be including characters based on speculation and ideas. But with that out of the way, let's begin. The first character I would appear, and I have an idea to appear, would be Bail Organa. While his moment is brief in the trailer, his capacity in the series is yet to be determined, and is the final character to appear in the trailer of The Bad Batch. At the time of the show, Bail should be keeping a low profile with his baby daughter Leia, who he had taken in a few months ago after the fall of Anakin Skywalker. He is obviously hard-working as a senator for Alderaan, and founding the rebellion along with Mon Mothma and Luthen Rael. It seems more likely for the Bad Batch to get caught up in the rebellion again, rather than the politics of Star Wars, and how Liberty died. But only time will tell. I heavily doubt that Bail will become a significant part. However, I do believe that he could appear as a side character or a cameo, even for a single episode, and he would become one of the biggest connections between the series and the larger Star Wars canonical universe. A next character which we will be exploring is a very unique character, that of Boba Fett, one of the greatest bounty hunters to have ever lived. While Boba Fett isn't confirmed, he should show up in the series eventually. Boba Fett at this point would be staking his claim as a feared mercenary, having a few months prior beating Cad Bane, the most legendary bounty hunter of all time in my eyes, in a quick-draw duel during his youth. Boba Fett should be establishing himself as a career, and in my personal opinion, if Boba Fett appeared, he would be sent on a mission alongside someone like Fennec Shand to track down the Bad Batch, and possibly to incinerate and execute any clones who have rebelled against Order 66, such as Commander Cody, who was stated in the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 2, to have gone AWOL. Especially with Omega factoring in, with Omega being Boba Fett's half-sister. Like Omega, Omega is the source of Jango Fett's original DNA, which is why the Empire wants her so desperately, in order to continue the cloning process. More specifically, the Kaminoans. The Kaminoans know that Jango Fett was a very reliable source, and after his untimely death at the Battle of Geonosis at the hands of Mace Windu, the Master of the Order, their stock of Jango Fett DNA reclamation is currently running thin. So it's more likely than not, Boba is also a target too, and is making a name for himself in the bounty hunting business at this point. But he still has a long way to go before he's the infamous character from the Book of Boba Fett and The Empire Strikes Back. And the Bad Batch could begin to bridge that gap and show us how Boba Fett rose to prominence. The next character will be a joint ranking, as we will be including all 3 of the clones that we see in Rebels Season 3, all of the veteran clones. Another clone that may appear is Wolf, the former commander of Plo Koon's division. Wolf survives and appears in Star Wars Rebels, which time doesn't have an inhibitor chip enabled in his brain, though where he is during Bad Batch isn't yet established. His story could have a happy ending. In Rebels, Wolf lives with Rex and Gregor, who both made it into Bad Batch Season 1, and are two characters who I personally believe will also appear. I believe Rex has a great chance to communicate with Commander Cody due to the fact he's gone AWOL, and Gregor will most likely be accompanying him. Wolf, I personally believe, will encounter the Bad Batch and be a bit psychopathic, like he is in Rebels, a bit more psychotic than he was back in Clone Wars. And I personally would love an episode that just has the Bad Batch and these three veteran clones go on a mission together in order to bust some brains and some stormtroopers. Now, we're moving on to the really juicy ones. Coming in next, we have Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka's character has been rising in popularity ever since the 4-episode fix of her character in the Clone Wars, with her appearance in The Mandalorian and a new series, Ahsoka, coming in late 2023. While the live-action appearances are great, animation is Ahsoka's roots. As one of Dave Filoni's original handmade characters as the apprentice of Anakin Skywalker, he likes to fit her in where he can, as in his eyes, Ahsoka is her pride and joy, adding to her in Rebels, The Mandalorian, and The Book of Boba Fett, if only briefly in the latter aforementioned TV show. Ahsoka could also appear in a few different ways during the time frame. She is an important figure in the rebellion, continuing and contacting Bail Organa frequently in order to ensure that everything is going alright with the rebellion and they do not need any aid. So with Bail coming to Season 2, even with a minor rank, Ahsoka could easily follow. Or she could potentially participate in the Gungi plot, helping Gungi hone his Jedi training, and perhaps doing a very similar thing to what Luke was doing with Grogu, starting up her own Jedi Order by taking on a Padawan and ascending to a rank that was truly beyond her Padawanship at Anakin Skywalker. But as lead in the Clone Wars, Ahsoka is a natural addition to its sequel in The Bad Batch. Coming in next, we have famed Rebel Senator Mon Mothma, another notable figure in the time frame. Mon Mothma could fit into the Bad Batch timeline a multiple of times. Like Bail, she is a senator and rebellion leader, who alongside Luthen Rael and Bail Organa are two primary rebellion founders, and one of his allies. She could tie in with him. Her character is explored in Andor more in depth, which is why she is around 14 years after the Bad Batch. By about that time, she is deep in the roots of the rebellion, enveloped by it. With this story taking place shortly after the Empire's rise, it could connect to the very beginnings of the rebellion, which Mon Mothma would need to participate in. If I had to pick a moment for Mon Mothma to come in, I would personally choose the moment where Palpatine is ascending in his Imperatorial program, and on the podium that he and Yoda fought in months prior. Perhaps the Bad Batch are listening in to Palpatine having a senatorial meeting. With Mon Mothma obviously being a peaceful senator, we could see Mon Mothma and Bail Organa, with this both being the reason they could appear. Next up, we have the famed Jedi with a fairly ambiguous fate, Quinlan Vos, another Clone Wars character created by Filoni with an ambiguous fate. The mysterious Jedi has the rare ability to peer into other people's memories when touching an object they had contacted, and such as played a different role in the Clone Wars than others from his order. His survival is hinted at in Obi-Wan Kenobi series by his name on the Rebels' Tunnel War, which proves that Vos is alive during the Bad Batch and could be anywhere, perhaps scouting and looking for ways in order to remain in hiding, like Grandmaster Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. His untraditional Jedi methods would highlight the unique nature of the Bad Batch, making him a perfect addition to the series and making it a much more enjoyable experience. The second to last, we have Barriss Offee, one of Ahsoka's fellow Padawans and one of her best friends, well, former friends. Barriss turns on her and frames her from the bombing of the Jedi Temple in the climax of Season 5. The situation inspires Ahsoka to walk away from the Jedi after peering into their dogmatic nature, with them filing sentence without barely enough evidence, with only filing a sentence in order to please the wishes of the Senate. Oh, how far the Jedi had fallen. But Barriss turns to the dark side, taking the lightsabers of Asajj Ventress herself. What happened to her next is unknown, but she could still be working for the Empire, making her a formidable foe for the Bad Batch characters to face. Personally, I believe she most likely could be taken as the dark acolyte of Emperor Palpatine, very similar to Mara Jade in Legends continuity. In Legends continuity, Mara Jade was the Empire's hand, and this could perhaps introduce Mara Jade into the canon universe as well, leading into a whole string of plot theories that could eventually lead to the Legends timeline being brought back into canon. Now, we have the second to last. We have legendary Zabrak Sith Lord, Darth Maul, formerly known as Maul. Maul was a legendary crime lord and one of the most influential figures in the Clone Wars era of galactic history. Personally, if Darth Maul was to appear, I personally believe that he would appear as a primary antagonist against the Empire, perhaps with his Crimson Dawn's fine syndicate, and having beings like Dryden Voss and Kira get fleshed out more as characters, allowing Darth Maul to slowly regain control of the underworld, with us seeing in Clone Wars Season 7 in the Mandalore arc at the very end of the series that Maul's grip on power is slimming, especially after being captured by the Jedi. Well, my friends, what did you think of this? What did you think of this intuition into our archives? Goodbye, my friends. I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.